Good morning. It's Monday, March 20th. Welcome back from spring break. We're so happy you're joining us today on this sunshiny, kind of cool morning. Thanks for joining us on Up to the Minute. I'm Dr. Amy Tan, Dean of HCC's English and Communications, and I'm filling in for Todd Duplantis. Joining me today is Dr. Nicholas Cox, the Department Chair for History. He's going to tell everyone how to find us on social media and on TV.
Good morning, Dean Tan. Thank you. We are live on the Houston Community College District Facebook page and YouTube. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, and on HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Excellent. It's so great to see you, Nick. Did you have a good break?
I did. I enjoyed the break. What about you? Did you do anything special on your time off with the daughters?
We did not. We just stayed home and did absolutely nothing, and we slept a lot. It was really great. Did you get to go anywhere?
You know, I sent my youngest son on an educational travel tour through the American South with a civil rights focus and took a break from dad life myself. So it was nice.
That is fantastic.
I stayed home.
Yeah. What a great trip for him.
Yeah, he went to Atlanta and Birmingham and Selma and Montgomery and saw a lot of historical sites, churches, museums, and memorials, and had a great time with Fort Bend ISD student leaders.
Wonderful. Really inspirational. And so today we are excited to have our Mental Health Monday, and we're going to be welcoming back a favorite guest who will now appear monthly. Today, she's discussing the importance of peaceful living spaces for your mental health. We'll be right with you, but we want to introduce Sarah Gish, artist and creator of Ignite Your Life, our Mental Health Monday guest. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, and I'm glad we don't have to show the rest of my house. This is going to be one of those that do what I say and not what I do. I just will become clean about that.
Coming clean, particularly after spring break. But first, as Women's History Month continues, Nick is talking about Southeast Women's Empowerment Panel, which includes our engineering program director, Susan Thompson.
Welcome back to the show, Susan. We're looking forward to hearing about your events regarding women's history and women in STEM, as well as the latest about your engineering program.
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to join you today. Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Let's begin with some recent school events that focus on middle and high school students. Tell us a little bit about these events.
Okay. Well, we do a lot of outreach with engineering, and knowing that maybe 2 to 3% of students that are in high schools are interested in engineering. So giving them options and pathways that may be a little less traditional, but also allows them to be more successful. So we had an opportunity to participate in Houston ISD's middle school girls STEM focus, and we built catapults. And so had 300 girls at the event, but groups of 10, sometimes 20 came through at a time, and ping pong balls everywhere. It was amazing. And then we handed out Smarties when they were finished, just trying to reinforce that we need more women in engineering. And it was a great event, a lot of fun.
Now, I understand there are also some events at A-Leaf and Spring Branch ISDs as well.
That's right. And mainly this fall, I think we had a couple this spring, but STEM events, helping students understand the opportunities in STEM. Some of the photos that I sent, we have our U of H HCC Engineering Academy students that helped with that. And they provided some robotic opportunities for the students to learn a little bit about robotics and programming. And then some of them also built a Rube Goldberg machine. And so talking about engineering and how it can be fun and useful, but also, creative and kind of artsy as well.
Well, wonderful. I hope some of these students that you interact with at these school events find their way into HCC's engineering programs.
Thank you. We do as well.
Now, tomorrow, HCC Southeast College is holding a women's empowerment panel. I understand you'll be on that panel with a couple of other women leaders at HCC, including Rima Adil and my boss, Dean Helen Graham. For people who can't attend tomorrow, faculty, staff, students who might not be free, would you mind to give us a little preview about what you're going to talk about?
Well, that's a great question. It kind of depends on how everything goes. But my story in education, and it's women in education, my story is a little unique. And so my message is really just to be open and collaborative, because I started out in higher ed. Met a gentleman. My husband was transferred to Tulsa in Oklahoma. And so we had an opportunity to, do something different. Because of a family tragedy, I had to step out of the workforce for a bit. Ended up taking on a position of leading. We took over the hot air balloon management business for my in-laws. So we organized hot air balloon festivals in Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas and Alabama. And then when I was able to step into the workforce as a traditional employee, I met a gentleman that asked me to start the Tulsa Alliance for Engineering. And I didn't know anything about engineers, but it was because of my background in higher ed. And so it was just a really cool opportunity to be open and not necessarily knowing all the details, but building a collaborative team. And so that to me is so important, just to be open to new opportunities, to be able to network, to step off sometimes in an unknown territory, but build in mentors, people that are willing to help and collaborate and create great things to make life better for others.
Well, that's wonderful. I had no idea you were involved in, for example, hot air ballooning. We'll have to come back to that later sometime, because we need to set up a hot air balloon festival here at HCC. So
that's quite a job.
Tell me a little bit about the Women in STEM workshops that are happening soon here at HCC.
The Women in STEM, actually, I'm not involved in too many. What we had was a CITGO grant, and that may be what you're referring to, a grant that we received last summer. And so the focus was really on high school students. But because of the way it was set up and some of the collaborations, we didn't get the attendance we thought we would. So went back to our donor, CITGO Petroleum, and they allowed us to redesign the program and really target students that were already enrolled, but providing short workshops and opportunities for women, but others also that are enrolled to increase retention, helping them understand the relevance of math and collaboration, opportunities for careers, and things like that. So what we really, feel like we had a tenfold improvement in what we originally set out to do, just because of the number of students that were involved, the number of collaborators and presenters. It was just an amazing program. And that's what we ended up doing, was, trying to help increase success and retention.
Well, all of these events at the middle school, high school, and even at HCC are geared toward getting women in professional engineering careers. Can you talk a little bit about the gap between men and women in professional employment?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have here at Houston Community College, we have about 23% of women in the engineering program, and the rest are men. But it's a very diverse student group. I mean, all nationalities are represented. We have a number of international students, and we all learn from them. And to me, that's what's really cool, is it's not just traditional students right out of high school. We have a number of adults that are coming back to get engineering degrees through HCC, and then our partners, U of H, Texas A&M, or UT Tyler, which is right here on our HCC A-Leaf campus. And so great opportunities for students or adults even, to progress. But what's neat about that is you have a lot of people that have engineering experience that are able to bring it back to the classroom, tie information together and help share that with their fellow students. So yes, we need more women in engineering. And that's one of the cool things, is we encourage all of our engineering students, but anyone else that's interested, to step into our maker spaces. And 3D printing is such a cool thing. And that's what I always tell, especially girls, is go through the 3D printing process, because what it does is it allows you to prototype. You don't have to have the right answer at the very first time. It allows you to create an idea and go through the engineering process. And if it's not exactly right, you go back and redo it. So there's value to prototyping, to going back and reviewing and collaborating and building it bigger and better. And so I would encourage all students to get into the maker spaces.
Excellent, Susan. Well, thank you. We have a lot more questions and things to ask you about women in leadership and women in STEM and the events of the month. But before we let you go, I'd like to ask if you have just one piece of advice to share with women.
Oh, yes. Women, our companies are figuring out that women are needed, that we think a little differently, that we have a different perspective. And so they are actively encouraging, they're actively recruiting women in internships, scholarships, and opportunities for employment. So I would strongly encourage anyone that's interested to step into a STEM career. Engineering is awesome. But STEM careers are more sustainable in most cases when there's a downturn in the economy. It pays better. And again, we need the perspective that a woman has that may be different, and a lot of different nationalities as well. Everyone has different perspectives. So we need the diversity that is offered, especially with our HCC and our Houston environment, our population.
Thank you. Susan Thompson, Program Director, HCC's Engineering and STEM Initiatives, and Women's Empowerment Panel Speaker. We'll have your info in the post after the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick and Susan. We'll have to have you back and finish some of those questions. It's just a wonderful to hear from you today. So thank you again. And now we're moving on to Sarah Gish, creator of the Ignite Your Life program and our Mental Health Monday guest. So happy to have you this morning, Sarah.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
Well, welcome back to the show. Springtime is the right time to learn more about this theory about the importance of peaceful living spaces. Tell us how this topic came to mind and why it's so important.
Well, and I love that you say theory, because it really is a theory. I've heard about this. No, I actually, your living spaces, and I have to clarify, I'm an artist, writer, Ignite Your Life queen. I am not a organizing queen. I don't do that for a living. There's plenty of people that do that, that make a profession out of it. I wouldn't dare to make a profession out of that. But the reason I wanted it to be on Mental Health Monday, actually, one is just very interesting because it just worked out perfectly, is that today, March 20th, is the first day of spring. So that's really cool. And then also because your living space, and this is a little bit embarrassing for some people, reflects what's in your mind. So if your mind is cluttered and distracted, your living space ends up being that way often. Not always. There's some people that, are very OCD and yet they're still distracted and all that. But for the most part, your living space reflects your mind. And so that's why I wanted it to be a topic today.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Well, and I think what's interesting is that the pandemic reduced some of that terror because, we were all sitting around in our living rooms, and we're still, sitting around in our living rooms or wherever we're sitting. And, I think that we've all become kind of more real about our living spaces, and we've also looked at our living spaces more. Before, I've worked out in my house for almost 25 years. So I kind of laugh at people who are working at home now. But what happened globally during the pandemic is that we all started looking at our living space, and interior design went up as a profession. Got busier. Organizers got busier, and we all realized, which is something I think is very important, is that our home is our sanctuary. And so besides just representing our mind, crazy or not, is that our home is our sanctuary. It's where we come to debrief and, decompress. And it's also these days where we work. And so we want to be peaceful in our living space as much as possible.
Absolutely. And I'll confess, we had just moved in the fall of 2019, and I had been doing tons of travel. I was traveling for work. I was traveling with my competitive soccer player. And so when spring break canceled everything and suddenly we were all at home, I looked around and I told my husband, I was like, wow, we have a really nice bathroom. Like I just hadn't seen it.
Right. It's good. Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned the spring cleaning. Do you want to talk a little bit more about spring cleaning connecting to the cycle of nature?
Right. Well, I also believe that everything outside of us, nature especially, is a reflection of our own inner cycle. And so, we can learn from trees as they're growing old, leaves fall as growing older. But literally, physically, in the physical world, spring starts happening. And today, of course, is not a great example in Houston because it's so cloudy. But for the most part, we're starting to get more sun, and you can see the buds coming out on trees. And it's sort of this, reminder to us as humans, and we are part of nature, that, hey, time to stop eating ice cream and wearing your bathrobe all the time, and to start, getting outside more and, start cleaning up. And there's a real physical connection to spring cleaning. So it's good. And, to me, it's kind of a joyful thing and a nerve-wracking thing, because it's kind of like, oh, yeah, we have to start kind of opening the doors more and, cleaning up. And it's good, though. It does make it happier in some ways, just because the weather gets nicer.
It does. It does feel good to clean up your space and shed some of the weights of the clutter.
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss hoarding disorder. Is that a psychologically classified disorder? If so,
it is.
How can someone like that release the clutter in their home?
Well, somebody like that, and I thankfully am not a psychologically classified hoarder in any sense of the word. And I'm very grateful for that, because it really is. And I think that it really is a psychologically classified disorder, and it's in the DSM and all of that. So I think one thing is to not stand in judgment of people who are hoarders, because it really is a psychological thing. It's not just that they're messy or, that's part of it, of course, but, and I think that they hoard because there's a lot of fear. There's a fear of letting go. There's a fear of looking at your life, all kinds of psychological things. And I am not a psychologist either. So, but I do know that it's important to kind of catch yourself before you become a hoarder, because it's really easy to do in our age of overconsumption. And, we love to buy, and we feel like, and I say we, because I'm part of this game where we just feel like, the next new thing, what do we need? Let's add. And again, I think the pandemic, in a weird way, helped with a lot of that, because we saw that we don't need another gadget. We don't need more clothes. We're sitting at home looking at all of this. But yeah, it's definitely a disorder. And if you think you have it, you're out there watching this, go get help, and there are, you can see psychologists about it. That's some of their specialties, but also I would just start with an organizer. And a lot of, organizers have so many, tricks in their bags that it's not just the person who has a little dust. It can go as deep as someone who's a hoarder. And there's no, it's time to have joy. I think that hoarders get into this shame cycle too, and there's not a lot of joy in their lives. And so it's just all go get help is what I would say, literally.
And it can be really hard, I know, to take that step and ask for help. So
yeah.
So what are some daily habits that we can do to keep things tidy?
Well, okay. So I mentioned to you guys before the show that I love this book. This is by Rear Admiral William McRaven. It's called Make Your Bed. And it's based on a graduation speech that he gave at University of Texas, not far from here. And he talks about, and I love that book because I gave it to my son when he graduated from college. He talks about making your bed as the first thing in the morning to do, because once you get your bed made, then you feel like you've done something. You have at least, I think a lot of us go through a day where we're just like, I didn't get anything done. But if you can just start your day out with making your bed, and it's a really simple thing, it's a psychological thing. So make your bed. Things like, don't leave dishes in the sink at night, or before you leave the house. I mean, it's just this feeling of tidiness. They say in an office, don't touch a piece of paper more than once, when you're trying to organize. And it's the same thing in your house. Don't pick up something more than once to tidy up, and I have to admit, I have laundry that I moved out of the way. But, when the laundry comes out, fold it, put it away. Don't let it sit there for, even just a couple of days. Don't let the animals make a home out of it. Try to get all that stuff put away, and just tidy up as you go. I mean, it can be very overwhelming. So just those daily habits really help.
Well, I hear you, and I will confess, I also moved a large pile of clean clothes out of the way for the camera. So,
at least we have clean clothes, right? Oh, the other thing I'll say is to also have weekly schedules. Like we do laundry every Sunday. And this is literally in my calendar. We dust every Saturday. Clean the bathrooms. Maybe that's a daily thing sometimes, but at least clean them once a week. So. Yeah, that's something I also meant to mention is that have daily things, have monthly agendas. Ideally, monthly, we should be pulling the washer and dryer out, which is something we've never done. So we need to do that. But it's just so heavy. That's one of those overwhelming, tasks that we just don't do. But anyway, there's always that goal and hope.
100%. And now we're back from spring break, and this is our chance to start fresh on the first day of spring. And I know we have some other questions, and we're just out of time. And I want to thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's fun. And it's just, don't shame yourself. That's the biggest thing I would say too, is just let yourself, give yourself a break and do little things if you can.
That's right. No shame here. And we look forward to seeing you again as our new monthly mental health guest. And so thank you again, Sarah Gish, creator of the Ignite Your Life program and our Mental Health Monday guest. You'll join us the third Monday of every month. We'll have your info in the post after the show. Thank you so much. Everybody stay clean out there. Invite guests over too. That's another way. Invite guests over and you'll sure to be cleaning up your house. Definitely. Okay. Thanks again. And welcome back, Nick. We're gonna hit our news, events, and announcements. And the first up today is our veteran leadership, the role of emotional intelligence. To achieve their growth potential, veteran attendees receive a free premium executive package, complimentary assessment, and personal action plan. That is today from 5 to 9. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Tuesday, March 21st from 5 to 9. HCC Southwest Missouri City. You can check our post after the show for the link to register.
And announcement 2, March Madness is underway at the Central. HCC Central's Wellness Center has launched a fun lineup of March Madness events. So check them out and register to participate. On Wednesday, March 22nd from 11 to 3 p.m., there will be a dunk contest. And at the same time, on Wednesday, March 29th, 11 a.m. to 3, there will be an all-star game 3x3. Find out more details and register by emailing daniel.lawson@hccs.edu.
That's right. March Madness is taking us all by storm. Vocable, a journal of arts and writing, HCC's Creative Writing Club is looking for the best fiction, creative nonfiction, poetry, artwork, scripts, and even comics for Vocable. Submissions open until March 23rd. To learn more, we'll have the link in the post after our show.
Announcement number 4, Reaching and Seeking Faculty Exhibition. This exhibition, titled Reaching and Seeking, will feature abstract paintings by HCC faculty members Thomas Clark and Walter Wagner. It's now through April 6th at the HCC Southwest Stafford Campus Fine Arts Gallery, and is completely free. Registration is not necessary. Everyone is welcome, and you can see the artists at the artist reception on Tuesday, March 28th from 4 to 6 p.m.
And if art is not your skill, you can still show your skill set in Skills USA competition. HCC, in partnership with Skills USA, will host the Texas Post-Secondary Skills and Leadership Competition this spring. All current HCC students enrolled in a technical workforce class can compete. That's going to be Wednesday through Friday, April 13th through the 15th. Check our post after the show for the link for submissions forms and additional Skills USA information.
All right, I think our last announcement for the day, summer registration is open. Summer registration has begun. So check the listings, see what classes you're interested in. Just a quick reminder, HCC is still offering smaller, more intensive spring sessions. Today's the beginning of the second 8-week session, and there may be some shorter sessions depending on the programs you're interested in. HCC offers courses in person and online. There are lots of different modalities, online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid classes, hybrid laboratories, and traditional in-person classes as well. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover costs, hccs.edu/apply.
Sorry about that, Nick. Coming up, we'll have another twofer for Women's History Month. Nick has suggested a U of H professor, and the History Department Speakers Committee has invited to discuss women activists during the Mississippi Civil Rights Movement. And for Tasty Tuesday, former executive chef at Ken D in the Heights will discuss the challenges of being a woman chef in a male-driven industry while preparing a dish from her new Thai restaurant coming up in River Oaks. Nick, thanks so much for being here and co-hosting with me. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.